Shattered trust. David had always trusted Emily. Their marriage of 8 years seemed solid, filled with mutual respect and love. But life has a way of hiding secrets in the most ordinary moments. It wasn't through a dramatic confrontation or an unexpected discovery that David's world began to crumble. It was a casual conversation, a simple thread that once pulled, unraveled everything. The casual conversation. It was a typical Friday evening, and David had just returned home from work. The week had been long, and he looked forward to a relaxing weekend. As he entered the house, he noticed Emily in the living room, chatting on the phone. Her laughter filled the room, a sound he had always cherished. David smiled to himself and decided to join her. He grabbed a beer from the fridge and settled onto the couch beside her. Emily gave him a quick, distracted smile, holding up a finger to indicate she'd be done soon. David didn't mind. He leaned back, sipping his beer, half listening to her conversation. The conversation seemed light-hearted. Emily was talking to her friend Sarah about an upcoming dinner party. David's mind drifted, but a particular sentence caught his attention. Emily laughed and said, "Oh, come on, Sarah. You know it was just harmless fun. He doesn't suspect a thing. David's so oblivious. He didn't even notice when I came home late last night." David's heart skipped a beat. He sat up a little straighter, his mind racing. What did she mean? Oblivious? Coming home late? Emily must have sensed his shift in demeanor because she quickly wrapped up the call, her laughter fading. She hung up and turned to David, her smile still plastered on her face, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hey, how was your day?" she asked, reaching out to touch his arm. David forced a smile, his mind reeling. "Good. Same as usual. Who were you talking to?" "Oh, just Sarah," Emily replied casually, getting up from the couch. "She was going on about that dinner party she's planning." "Yeah, I caught some of that," David said, standing up and following her into the kitchen. "You mentioned something about coming home late and me being oblivious?" Emily froze for a split second before turning to face him, her expression carefully neutral. "Oh, that? It was just a joke, babe. Sarah was teasing me about how much I drink when we're out together. Nothing serious." David nodded slowly, though unease had settled deep within him. Right, just a joke. The unraveling. Over the next few days, David couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. Emily's words echoed in his mind, and he found himself replaying the conversation over and over. He began to pay closer attention to her behavior. She seemed more distant lately, always on her phone or out with friends. She had started going out more often, coming home late with excuses that didn't quite add up. David had never been the jealous type, but now he found himself wondering, what if there was something more to Emily's casual remark? One evening, when Emily was out with Sarah again, David decided to do something he had never done before, check her phone. He felt a pang of guilt as he picked it up, but the unease gnawed at him and he couldn't ignore it any longer. The phone was locked, but he knew her passcode. It was their anniversary date. He hesitated, then entered the code. The phone unlocked, and he was in. David's heart pounded as he navigated to her messages. There was nothing suspicious in her texts with Sarah, but then he noticed another name, Tom. The messages between Emily and Tom were hidden deep within the chat list, as if she didn't want them to be easily found. He opened the conversation and began to read. What he found confirmed his worst fears. The messages were filled with flirtatious banter, late-night meetups, and references to nights David had thought Emily was out with her friends. His hands trembled as he scrolled through, each message like a dagger to his heart. Confrontation. When Emily returned home that night, David was waiting for her in the living room, her phone in hand. She looked surprised to see him still awake. "David, what are you doing up?" she asked, her voice cautious. David stood up slowly, his eyes locking onto hers. "I think you know why, Emily." She glanced at the phone in his hand, and her face paled. "David, I can explain—" "Explain what?" he interrupted, his voice cold. "That you've been lying to me? Cheating on me? How long has this been going on, Emily?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. But David was unmoved. She tried to reach out to him, but he stepped back, holding up his hand to stop her. "Don't," he said sharply. "Don't try to manipulate me with tears. I trusted you, Emily. I never imagined you would betray me like this." Emily broke down, sobbing as she tried to explain, to justify her actions, but David didn't want to hear it. The trust between them was shattered, and there was no going back. Aftermath. The days that followed were a blur of painful conversations, tears, and broken promises. Emily begged for forgiveness, swearing that it was a mistake, that she still loved him, and that she would do anything to make it right. But David knew that their marriage had been irreparably damaged. The casual conversation that had once seemed so harmless had pulled the thread that unraveled the entire fabric of their life together. In the end, David made the painful decision to leave. He couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies and deceit. As he packed his bags and walked out the door, he couldn't help but wonder how many other secrets had been hidden in plain sight, masked by the mundane moments of their lives. Conclusion: David's life was forever changed by that one casual conversation, a moment that seemed insignificant at the time, but ultimately revealed the painful truth. Sometimes, it's the smallest things that unravel the biggest lies. When David overhears a seemingly innocent comment from his wife, Emily, his world begins to unravel. What starts as a casual conversation quickly leads him down a path of suspicion and discovery, revealing secrets that shatter the foundation of their marriage. As trust gives way to betrayal, David is forced to confront the painful reality that sometimes the smallest moments can expose the deepest lies. Caught in the Silence is a gripping tale of infidelity, heartbreak, and the devastating impact of hidden truths.